All right, I'm a little bit late. Sorry about that, guys, but I was working on the thumbnail for the video. But in this video, we're going to be talking about exactly how I calculate the cost of living differences for every city in the United States for not just nursing, but every single profession that the Bureau of Labor Statistics collects data for. And Monica and we posted a video on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, and on Facebook a couple of days ago. And a lot of people have been giving us a lot of hate for it. Not a lot of people, but people that don't know who we are. The video has already gotten like 2 million views on TikTok, over 350,000 on Instagram, and over 320,000 on Facebook. And we made this video because there's this other video circulating on the internet right now with a couple who doesn't have any kids. It's a male and female couple. They've been dating for a while and they're young. They're in their 20s, like early 20s or something like that. And they decided to make a video about how great it is to be a couple with no kids. And the term for it is double income, no kids. I believe is double income. Yeah, double income, no kids. So they're called dinks, these type of people that don't have kids, but they have dual income. Anyway, that video itself had a lot of controversial comments and responses to it, and it was all over the news. So the reason Monica and I made the video that we did is in response to that one as a parody to show that there's a lot of things in the nursing profession that people misrepresent or don't understand that much about it. And what we decided to do was take it from the approach that nurses here in California make a lot more, especially in Northern California, than they do in the rest of the country. And some people took it the wrong way. And you know what? What can I do? I mean, if they took it the wrong way, they don't know who we are. You guys who have been following us on our channel, you know who we are. Okay. We tell everybody that at the end of the day, we don't do this job for free, right? Regardless of with what job we have, you could be working in finance, you could be working in healthcare, you could be working in tech, you could be working as a teacher. Regardless of whatever job you do, you're not going to do it for free. And a lot of people expect nurses to be doing this job for free or for minimum wage, and it's not going to happen. Okay, so if I poke fun of that, and me and Monica poke fun at that, then you take it the way you want. But at the end of the day, we're just speaking the truth. Okay. Anyways, I'm just gonna leave it there. All right, because I just can't believe how many negative comments on Facebook we've gotten over this video, because there was this one person who said that the ANA, the American Nurses Association, should, like this should ban nurses from the profession who talk about salary. Like, what is that? That's exactly what our employers would want us to do, not talk about how much money we make so that we don't have something to fight for. So whatever, I am going to continue doing that, and Monica's going to continue doing it. And if you guys have a problem with it, I'm sorry, but maybe you shouldn't be following us on social media if you have a problem with that. That's it. Okay. All right. So I'm going to show you guys. I just had to do that rant. Okay. But I'm going to show you guys, if you're interested in finding out where you can make the most money for the lowest cost of living, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it step by step, because, there's people that can't afford the spreadsheet that I sell. And there's people that are also out there who don't know anything about me, who assume that I'm just like pulling out free information from the internet and charging a price for it, when they don't realize how long it actually takes me to gather all of this information. It has taken me years. So I'm going to show you guys exactly how to do it, though, because this is something that when we first moved to California, we were thinking about where can we move and have the lowest cost of living, but the highest salaries. And one of the ways in which we were able to find out the best places to move to was by speaking with other people who had already made that move, right? So I'm going to show you all of the links that you guys need to get and look for in order to find all of the data that I get. And this video is not about the highest paying hospitals, but the highest paying locations, right? The highest paying cities, the highest paying states. And then I'm going to show you other things that factor into the cost of living, like home prices. In addition to home prices, now I'm going to show you rent prices and crime data in case you're looking for a place that's safe to live in as well. Okay. So here we go. And I'll answer some of your questions later on, but let's go over some of the stuff that I was talking about. Okay. So the first thing I want you guys to know is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you all of the links that I use to determine what the cost of living is going to be like based on the city that you want to move to. So, all right. I hope you guys can see this. And if you want, you can pause it here and just write down all of this information, or I can actually include it as a link in the description if you guys want it. Okay, so here we go. The first thing that I do is I actually go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So this is the link over here. I'm going to open this up and I'm going to show you guys. Okay, so let's just open it up. And I'm going to share this tab instead. So this is what this one looks like. And hopefully I can, let me bring this up so I can show you. Okay. So when I go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, right? Again, you can also do it by going to Google and typing in US Bureau of Labor or BLS salary or occupational employment and wage statistics. So this page will come up in one of the links. Okay. But in order to determine what the salaries are for nurses in every city in the US, or any profession you guys are interested in, you're going to click on one occupation for multiple geographic areas, right? Then it's going to ask you which occupation you're interested in getting data for. And I'm going to increase the size of this so you guys can see it a little bit better. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down till I find registered nurses. But again, the beauty of this is that the Bureau of Labor Statistics actually collects salary data for every single profession in the US. And this is based on a 40-hour work week. So let's say there's a nurse that's making $150,000 a year. The Bureau of Labor Statistics is assuming that that nurse is working 40 hours per week to get to that 150,000. But in reality, that nurse could be working 32 hours, 36 hours, which is the average, right? 36 hours a week. And then vice versa. There could be a profession where someone is making $150,000 a year, but they're working 50, 60 hours a week to get to that point. So this is just collecting the annual salaries of nurses and any other profession. It doesn't know exactly how many hours anyone in these professions is working. Okay, so let me just let you know that part right there. Okay, so we're going to keep scrolling down and I'm going to keep looking till I see registered nurses. And there's look at all these professions, guys. There's so many professions, right? And if you keep scrolling down, there's like dentists, there's orthodontists, there's dietitians, pharmacists. I have the majority of the most popular ones that are for healthcare related professions in the spreadsheet that I sell. Okay. And again, I have a coupon code if that's what you want to use. All right. But there's pharmacists. You're going to keep scrolling down. And now we have registered nurses. When you get to that one, you want to find out what the highest paying cities are, right? Not state. You don't want the national salary. You don't want the state salary. If you select national salary, it's going to tell you what the median or the mean salary is for nurses in the United States, which is something like 82 or 86,000 dollars per year. If you're looking at the state data, you can select all of the states or each individual state, and it'll give you the salary for nurses collectively in the state that you choose, or in all of the states. And it won't tell you how much the cities pay individually, which is why you need to select metropolitan or non-metropolitan area. And if you just want to select one state, for example, or one city within a state, then you can just select it like this, or you can hold command on a Mac or control on a PC, and you can select more than one city, right? But in my case, I want to know what all of the cities look like. So I'm going to select all MSA in this list. So then you're going to click next, and you can select the data types that you want included in your spreadsheet. This is why I love the Bureau of Labor Statistics, because let's say you just want to know what the hourly mean wage, which is the hourly average wage for registered nurses in every city in the US. You can select hourly. You can select median hourly wage, or you can select annual median wage, and so on and so forth. But what I do is I just select all of them because I want to see everything, right? Then I'll click next, and then you can export this as an HTML, which would be on the web browser. So I'll show you an example. I'll click submit, and then it's going to open up a new window for me. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, guys. I just realized it's not sharing the screen this whole time. Okay, hold on a second. Let me go back, and I'm going to share it with you. I'm like looking at myself. I'm like wondering why is it not sharing. Okay, let's go back. So real quick. Okay, I'm going to click on one occupation for multiple industries, right? Then I'm going to scroll down to it. It says registered nurses. So keep going, keep going, keep going. Let's see, keep going. Okay, so here it is. Healthcare practitioners, right? It has dentists, it has pharmacists. Again, pharmacists, I have that one in the spreadsheet that I have. And then registered nurses. We're going to click registered nurses. And sorry, it's going to be one occupation for multiple geographic areas. Then I got to look for registered nurses again. So here we go. Where is it? Registered nurses. Okay, again, there's so many professions, guys. You can just look through every single one of them. And then you're going to click on metropolitan or non-metropolitan area instead of state. Because again, if you select state, it's only going to show you the median or the mean wage for the entire state instead of each individual city. If you select national, it's going to show you what the median wage, what the annual wage is for the entire country for nurses. You don't want that. You want individual cities, right? So I'm actually going to select all of the cities on this list instead of clicking on one and then holding command or control and clicking on more than one, right? I just want all of them. I'm going to click next. Then at the bottom, I'm going to, instead of selecting like hourly mean wage and annual mean wage and hourly median wage, I'm just going to select everything. So all data types. I'm going to click next. And right now, I'm just going to show you what the HTML version looks like instead of the Excel version. So HTML is going to show me this screen right here. And you see at the top, the columns are going to show you what data you're looking at, right? So most of the time, I focus on either annual mean wage or the annual median wage. So the annual mean wage is the average. So if you take all of the salaries in the US or in this specific list, which includes many of the cities in the US, not all of them, but many of them that they collect data for, then it will take all of those salaries across every single city in the US and it will tell you what the average is, right? So let's say you have 10, 10, 10, that's 30, divided by 3, that's 10. So the average is 10, right? But if you have the median, you all know what the median is. It's basically you take um, all of the salaries in the US and you go from lowest to highest. And whichever one you have in the middle, that's going to be the median wage, which means you can have people that are going to be towards the lower end of the median salary and people that are going to be towards the higher end of the median salary. Right? And it'll tell you what the percentage is of people that are or what the salary is for people that are in the 75th percentile, 90th percentile, and so on and so forth, right? Okay, so now if you look down this list, look how many cities are in this list. And if you look carefully, you will see that some of them have more than one city for each row, right? So this one has Atlanta, Sandy Springs, and Roswell, Georgia. So that means that all of these cities in Georgia actually pay the same wage. And that wage is, if you look here on this row, the annual mean wage, right? On row, column 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that is where you're going to have your annual mean wage. And again, if you do this through here as HTML, you cannot sort it, which is why I go back and I actually download the Excel spreadsheet. And when I download the Excel spreadsheet, it's going to open up another tab for me to download it through. So let's say I'm going to save it here. I'm going to open it up and I'm going to show you guys. Oh, I'm not even constantly have to switch. Okay, sorry guys, I constantly have to switch. Okay, so all right, so I click on Excel and I click submit, right? Now, in order for, I'm just going to share my whole screen with you guys so you guys can see everything because it's like going back and forth. It's not making any sense. So let me just share the entire screen. Okay, let's see. Share screen. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm gonna share everything. I'm sorry, guys, but it's like too many tabs open right now. Okay, Windows entire screen. Share. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see this. Okay. And this is my StreamYard account. So let's bring this over here so you guys can see it. Hold on. There we go. Okay. It takes a little bit getting used to this program. Sorry. Okay, let's see. I'm going to share the other screen with you guys instead. Share screen and Windows, this one right here. Okay. There. All right. All right. Okay. So I hope you guys can see that. Right. So when I have it like this, I can actually sort it. Right. And let's see if I want to sort it by the annual mean wage, I would have to go here and then I would have to go data and sort. Let's see. Oh, view. Where is it? Um, home. Okay, home. And then you click on sort A to Z, right? And then see. Okay, hold on. There's a column that's bigger than it should be. So I'm gonna scroll all the way to the bottom and sort it like that. Here we go. Okay, so sort A to Z and expand. Yes. Okay, so if you want to see what the lowest paying is, it would be Puerto Rico, right? And then it's going to be, if you keep scrolling down, all of these are in Puerto Rico. And then we have Alabama, right? Oklahoma. Now you see, okay, it's extremely tedious to do it this way. It's extremely tedious. You can find out what the salaries are, but you cannot find out what the cost of living is like. So that's why I created the spreadsheet, is so that you guys can get all of the data together in one location, right? So let me show you what I do to get the cost of living information. So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to share the screen with you again so I won't forget. Okay. Um, Here we go. Let's see. Okay, important links. So I have my important links over here, and I'm going to share that with you as well. Share. Okay. Okay, window here. Okay, so you see, I have, after I get the data for the salaries, I then have to find out what my after tax income is going to be, which is why I need an income tax calculator. So I use this website to get that information. And I would have to enter that salary for every single city in here in order to find out which city is the best city for me to move to in the US, right? Because I need to know what my taxes are going to look like in every single city. So that's another thing that I have to do. Then I have to look at the home prices in every single city. So in my case, let's say, for example, I want to move to, let's see, I'm going to look up the mortgage prices, mortgage interest. Here we go, home values. So let's say I want to move to uh, New York City, right? I'm going to click on this and I'm going to type in the New York City after I've already found out what my income is going to be like after taxes. And I'm going to look at what this is in Kings County, by the way. Let's do New York, New York. Okay. The median home price in New York, New York is 729,000. So after I get my after tax income, and then I find out what the average or the median home price is like in the location I want to move to, I then have to find out how much my mortgage is going to be. So let's copy this number here, right, which is 729, and we're going to go back to here, and I'm going to look up what, first of all, what the interest rates are, right? So the mortgage rates are different in like every day that you look them up. So at the moment, the interest rates are 6.626%. So we're going to remember that number. Then you're going to go back and you're going to go to mortgage calculator. Open that up, and you're going to put in the home price that you found, and then this number over here, which is your interest rate on your home, which is 6.6. So let's do 6.6 at the bottom, right? And you're going to be putting 20% down on your home. Let's just say, for example, that's what you're going to be putting down, right? But then you have to also find out what city within New York or what zip code within New York this calculator is going to use to calculate your mortgage and the property taxes for your mortgage. So in order to do that, I then have to go here and find out what the zip codes are in this specific city. So I have to go ahead and put in, let's say, for example, New York zip codes, and I'm going to choose one of the zip codes in New York, right? So let's choose this one right here, which is 10001. I'm going to go back to Rocket Mortgage. I'm going to put that in there. And then I want the payment to include my taxes and my insurance. Yes. And then I wanted to estimate my taxes and insurance based on the state and calculate. So this is how much my monthly mortgage payment is going to be over here, right? $4,216. Then what I have to do is also find out what the crime data is like in every single city. So I'm going to take this information over here. I'm going to go and I'm going to type in 10001. And this is going to show me what the crime data is like. All right. So, all right, there's your crime data right there. Okay. And I pull all that information and I put it together for you guys by just doing it through here. Right. So this is the easiest way I can find to disseminate this information for you guys so that you don't feel overwhelmed with having to do this yourself, right? So I'm going to show you the spreadsheet now, and I'm going to show you exactly what it does, and then we can compare some of the salaries that you guys want me to compare, right? So we can compare different professions, we can compare different states, and all of that. But I'm going to show you why the spreadsheet makes it a lot easier than if you were to just do all of this yourself. And it's so time consuming. That's why, like, when I used to do this manually, it would take me just probably like 2 days just to do one profession. And now I've got in the works, I've got over 50 professions with all of this data for you. Okay, so I'm going to share with you guys my screen, and I'm going to show you. Hold on a second. Let's see. Stop sharing. Okay. I'm going to show you what the spreadsheet that I have looks like. Okay, so let's see. I hope this is the one. Let's see. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, share. Okay, so I hope you can see this. Good. All right. So this is the old spreadsheet, though. The new spreadsheet is going to have so much information for you guys that I hope is going to help you make better decisions for yourself. Okay. And let me just do this real quick. Okay. All right. So what the spreadsheet does is it's going to allow you to select the city that you want, the role or the profession that you're interested in looking at, and you can compare different states, right? So I'm going to look at the comments right now and see which ones you guys want me to compare, and I can do it. Okay. So let's see. Screen is not showing anymore. Okay. This is so useful. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Okay, somebody said I do nursing for the money. Yeah, okay. All right, let's go down the list. If you guys want me to compare different professions or different cities that are in this list or different states, let me know. I'm gonna make it bigger for you guys, and just let me know, and I'll do that for you. Okay. All right. So let's go with the first one. Registered nurses. That's the one that we always go for, right? Because that's where the majority of you guys work in the nursing profession. But if you guys want a different one, again, just let me know and I'll compare a different one. All right. Let's see. Okay. So you already know Vallejo is number one, yada, yada, yada. I already said this before, right? But let's say you want to look at home prices only. You can sort these things by home prices, descending or ascending. Again, this is information that you would have had to look up on Zillow. Every single home price for every single city in the United States where the Bureau of Labor and Statistics collects the salary data for, you would have to look up all these cities. You would have to look up what the median annual salary is and put it in here. Then, again, so let me show you where all of this data is actually coming from. I'm going to share where all of the occupations are listed, right? So that's this data over here. And I have the median salaries, the net annual salary. So that's how much you're going to have left in your income after your taxes are deducted from this column right over here. So this is how much taxes you're paying in every single city over here based on the salary that you're earning. And then it's going to tell you what the tax rate is of the median salary. So for example, let's say you want to know which state is going to tax you the most based on your income. You can sort this by Z to A, right? And 53% of your income is going to be taxed if you're a paramedic, because this is showing all of the professions, right? All of the roles over here. If you're a paramedic and you're working in Fort Collins, Colorado, 53% of your income is going to go towards taxes alone. That doesn't even include your mortgage payments or anything like that, right? But yeah, that's so let me keep going to the right to show you guys. And hopefully this is all being shared with you. Hold on, let me make sure because this is for some reason not showing. Okay, let me make it a little bit bigger for you guys so you guys can see it. Okay, all right. If you can see on all of these columns, the top is going to show you everything that I've collected from those links that I showed you. And then I calculated certain percentages and certain um, like certain numbers to show you how much you would have left over in every scenario, right? So your net monthly after your mortgage and your expenses and your taxes are deducted, the home prices, the monthly mortgage payments, annual mortgage payments, taxes and mortgage payments made on an annual basis, all of this information. It's a lot of information. It's overwhelming. That's why I created the dashboard for you guys. So in the dashboard, you can just sort things, right? So let's say you just want to know how much you have left over annually after your taxes are paid. You're going to see that Santa Barbara, California is the worst. Nobody's going to want to live there because you're not going to have any money left over if you choose to live there, right? And let's look at all of the professions that I currently have. Again, I'm going to have over 50 professions in like the next 2 weeks or so. Okay. I'm still working on it, but it's in the works. Okay. So let's say you want to look at every single profession. Just click here and delete it, right? And then you click away. And it's going to show you everything. Like everything that's on this list is going to show you the salaries, the home prices for all of those, right? So now let's see which one is going to leave you with the most amount of money after taxes and your mortgage payments and everything. You're going to do descending. And you're going to see that if you're a CRNA in Springfield, Illinois, you're going to be left with $181,000 after taxes and mortgage payments. So that's why I love looking at this spreadsheet, because at the end of the day, you just want to find out which profession is going to be worth your pursuit of it, right? So like if you're going to spend tens of thousands of dollars, some people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, then at least make the right choice financially, because a lot of the people might want to do it just for personal reasons, that they might just be passionate about something, but they don't think about where it's going to leave them financially. And at the end of the day, you need to know how much money you're going to have in your bank account when you're working for a living and you went to school to get a degree in the profession that you want to be in, right? Okay, so again, the spreadsheet is going to be in the description below, right? So I have two spreadsheets in the link of the in the description. One of them is for this spreadsheet, which is called the ultimate salary spreadsheet or something like that. There's another spreadsheet where I only have the highest paying hospitals in all of California, and you guys can get that. That's This video is not about that. This video is only about the ultimate salary spreadsheet, which has over 21 professions in it. Okay, so you can get it in the link. But let's compare some of the professions, right? So somebody asked, let's say, RN in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Okay, in Atlanta Metro versus New York. Okay, so let's do this. You want to know Atlanta Metro versus New York, right? Or New York City. Well, let's just do it like this then. Let's do Atlanta, Georgia. So let's do Georgia versus New York. If you want to do it for all professions, obviously, like CRNA is always going to be at the top. But let's do it for RNs only. Okay, if you're an RN and you're looking to make the most amount of money between these two states, then let me make this larger for you. Okay, between these two states, then you need to consider moving to where is it? Sorry. Okay. A specific city within this state, which is Elmira, New York, because here you're going to be left with more than you would be in Georgia. However, if you take a look at this, Albany, Georgia is not that far away from New York. So if you want to be somewhere where the climate is warmer and you're closer to the Gulf of Mexico, then you'd probably want to live here. But again, you need to look up other things, right? Like, so for example, the violent crime and the property crime. And this doesn't even take into account something like, you know, recreational activities in the city that you want to move to. So you might end up moving to a town that's completely like isolated from everywhere else, where the closest supermarket or shopping center is 40, 50 minutes away. So that's something where you might have to do your research on your own, because I'm just telling you which one is going to be the most cost effective. I'm not telling you which one is the best one to live in, because there's more factors to it than just which one saves you the most amount of money. Right. Okay. All right. So let's go back to that sheet. Okay. So if you want to look at Atlanta, Georgia, you're going to have to keep scrolling down. So I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling and I am scrolling. And you're going to see that Atlanta, Georgia is really low on that list. And that's because at the end of the day, the cost of a home is going to be much higher here. And let's sort this actually. So monthly mortgage payment, for example. Let's go to the top. You're going to see Atlanta, Georgia's monthly mortgage payments are up there with other areas of New York. Like, look at some of these areas. You would expect Atlanta, Georgia to be lower, but it's really not. Right. And actually, there are cities within Georgia that are even worse off. So, like if you're in Sandy Springs or Roswell, your mortgage payments are going to be even higher. Right. So, all right, let's go to another question. Let's see who else wants to know. Okay. Is there different specialties included for the PA career? No. So, all right, let me show you. Unfortunately, the Bureau of Labor Statistics does not collect salary data for different specialties. It collects, however, I will say this: if you're a physician, it will collect different salary data and group it into separate specialties. It'll also do that for some of the nursing professions. Like you can find, and I'll show you. You can find the data for, let's say, there's RNs, right? There's NPs. There's let's see. I have so many. Hold on a second. Nursing assistants. There's LPNs. There's let's see. I know I have, oh, so CRNA, right? So that's another one. And yeah, midwife. So and again, this is just doing it for like specific states. So I can change that and I can find out what data is for all of these states combined, right? So it's including California, Washington, and so on and so forth. And this is just for midwives. But when you look at PAs, unfortunately, it only has one specialty, which is it encompasses all of them. And if you go on the Bureau of Labor and Statistics website, which BLS, you will not find that information for the different specialties. It's only for one, right? So yeah, I hope that helps. Okay, what else? Let's see. Let's see what else. Atlanta, Oklahoma, Tulsa, RN. Okay, let's see if we can find out what the salary looks like for Oklahoma specifically. And I can actually just go and straight to Tulsa over here if I wanted to. And I this is just one city, right? And if you want to compare the different, is it even in here? Yeah, where is it? Where is it? Tulsa. Okay. And this is for PAs. So because it's only one profession that I've selected, it's only going to show me one salary. But let's say I want to know what it is for all of them. Okay. I can find out what the highest, which one's the best one, the best profession. Let's select true, oh, leftover annually, right? This is how much we're going to have left over if we're CRNAs in Tulsa, Oklahoma. If you're an RN, you're actually doing worse. Hold on a second. Let me show you. You're doing worse than a dental hygienist, a physical therapist, occupational therapist, radiation therapist, nuclear medicine tech, diagnostic medical sonographer. I mean, the list goes on. So if you're going to be living in Tulsa, Oklahoma, then you're better off working as any one of these other professions instead of an RN because you'll be making more money at the end of the year and at the end of the month if you choose one of those other professions. And you might actually even need less education in some of these. So consider that, right? Okay. All right. I hope this is helpful for you guys. All right. So let's see what else we got. Who wants to know? Um, let's see. I'm a newer. So, all right, I'm going to answer some questions if you guys are interested in that. Oh, actually, somebody asked previously to compare the salaries for pharmacists. So let's just quickly look at the pharmacists. Okay. And I'm going to delete this because I want to know what the salary is for everybody, right? For every single profession. And I'm going to select pharmacist. Let's see. Where's my pharmacist? Oh, you know what? I forgot. It's not in here, but I have a new spreadsheet. That's the one I'm working on. So let me show you what that one looks like. And it's very brief, guys. I'm still working on it, so it's not gonna look great, but I'm gonna show you what it looks like so far. And I still need to tweak some things to make it look better. Okay, so yeah, let's share this one. So this one is gonna have even more information for you guys. And if you buy the current one, I'm gonna make another video with the latest version in about 2 weeks or so. If you guys have already purchased this one, you can just re-download that same link in 2 weeks when I make that video, and you'll have access to this one as well, right? So, and then if you want future updates, unfortunately, I can't. You don't get like an unlimited amount of future updates by being able to just re-download the link as many times as you want because after 30 days it expires. But if you guys want to, you can always email me, like let's say every 3 6 months, whenever you want, just email me and say you want an updated version of the spreadsheet, and I will send you the re-download link so you can download it again for free. You don't have to pay for it. All right. So let me see if I can show you this one. Okay. This one, as you can see, has way more information than the one that I previously showed you. Right. So for this one, we're going to have the annual mean salary, the net annual salary, taxes paid. So some people were asking if they can see how many taxes are paid. And instead of going through here, right, and looking at this one, which is all convoluted, it has so much information, you can just go right here and you can see how much you paid in taxes. And this one is specifically for nursing assistants, right? So and then let's say home prices, but this one also includes rent prices because a lot of people have asked me if I could include rent prices in this spreadsheet. And finally, I've been able to get rent prices because those links that I sent you guys, one of them is the Zillow rent median rent prices in the US. And I can find out what the median rent price is in almost every city, not every city unfortunately that's on this list. So some of them won't have it. For example, let me see if I can show you, right? Like this one right here does not have it. So this specific city, which is Johnson City, Tennessee, does not have rent prices recorded for it on Zillow. So unfortunately, some of them I can't get that information for, but you can still work with the monthly mortgage payment if you want, right? And the home prices. So this data, this column, these columns right here, you can work with that. And so yeah, in addition to that, you can find out how much money you're going to have left over after your rent payments are made and on a monthly basis. And then as well, I have the violent crime and the property crime data in there for you guys if you're interested in it. All right. So, all right. So that's going to come in like 2 weeks. And I hope it's going to be more useful than the current one because that one includes so much more information that people who are interested in moving to another city or state might be interested in. Because when Monica and I first moved here, we moved here and we rented for the first like 8 months before we actually bought our home. And this was one of the spreadsheets that I was actually using when we were looking to buy a home, because I was thinking about, okay, where can we move where we have the lowest cost of living, relatively low crime rate, and the highest uh, salaries. And honestly, though, anywhere here in the Sacramento, Roseville area, you're going to have the same salary. Because if you're working for the Kaiser system, they pay the same in Sacramento, in Roseville, and any other Kaiser in the northern part of California. Right. So, anyway, so we decided to move to Sacramento because we just wanted to be closer to like more amenities and things like that. Where here we have a lot of theaters, we have more parks, we have a shopping area that's maybe like 15 minutes from us. So it's one of the places we chose to move to. All right. ATL versus New York City, which would be cost effective for an RN? All right. And I think I just did this actually, right? So again, it's going to be let's see, I'm going to show you exactly which one it would be if you're comparing New York City and Atlanta. So let me stop this and I'm going to share another screen. Here we go. Okay, so we have, let's say we want to just do Georgia and New York. Okay, there. All right. So in this case, again, let's do just RNs. So I'm going to select my role as RN. And I'm going to just make this a little bit smaller right here. Okay. So RNs, if you're looking at specifically New York, then you're going to see that New York is going to be worse off than Atlanta, Georgia. But let's sort this again, descending to ascending. All right. Where is it? New York, you're going to have about $20,000 left over. And actually, these home prices, again, this is why I'm coming up with the new spreadsheet, because the home prices have changed. This is actually somewhere closer to like 800,000 in New York. So it's, and everywhere else obviously has gone up as well, but New York is pretty bad. And it's probably a lot worse than this at this point, because remember, the salaries aren't going up in the same rate or at the same rate that these home prices are going up. So you're probably going to be left with somewhere around this range, maybe like 14,000, maybe less than that per year if you're living in New York City. But Atlanta, Georgia, on the other hand, let's see, you're going to be left with around 30,000, and this price has also gone up, and so have the actually the interest rate from when I did the spreadsheet is about the same. Right now, it's 6.74 or something to that effect. Let me see. It's 6.62 actually. So it's a little bit better than when I did the spreadsheet. Okay. But yeah, that's what it looks like. If you're looking to make the most money though between these two states, then this is the place you should be moving to. Let's do descending. These places right here, right? Because they're going to leave you with the most amount of money at the end of the month, at the end of the year. and so on and so forth. Okay. So, all right. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Would you all move back to New York? Okay. So, somebody asked me this before, and let me answer it real quick. Um, we are still moving back to New York. And the reason for that is because we have family over there. We miss New York City a lot. And we just came back from a trip in New York. We were there maybe 3 weeks ago for Thanksgiving, and we were there with all our family. I mean, we must have seen at least like 30 or 40 family members and friends. And here in California, it's just us. And I mean, my brother, he lives in Oakland, but that's about an hour and 19, an hour and 20 minutes away. And it's just my brother and his wife and our niece. So, yeah, we're still going to move back to New York. And I mentioned this in previous videos. By the time we move back to New York, we're going to have about $300,000 of equity in our current home. So we are going to be living off of the equity that we cash out on from selling this house. For the for 2 years, we're going to have about $150,000 set aside just to pay rent for 2 years. Then we're going to have $100,000 that we're going to either reinvest in this business or invest in real estate, and then another $50,000 for an emergency fund. Monica said she will consider going back to work when we move back to New York. So she might actually have either a part time or a full time position over there. And I may pick up a per diem position just so I can see if anything has changed in New York and I can talk to you guys about it. And if it's still as bad as it was when I left, then I'm going to quit my job as soon as I start working so I can tell you guys why I quit. All right. Okay. Next, let's see. All right, so I'm gonna answer a couple of questions, and if you have any questions, just let me know. Man, okay, there's a lot of questions here. Okay, and let me see if I can drag this up so I can read it from up here. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, perfect. Okay, hopefully I can see this better. And there, good. Okay. All right. So the question is, let's see, starting from the top. Okay. Okay. Graduating with my BSN in April, I will be living in Sacramento. Any advice on finding the best job opportunities for a new grad? I'm still not sure what unit I want to work in. You know, if you're not sure what unit you want to work in, then apply for all of them. That's what I would do. If I weren't sure, I would just apply for everything. And, honestly, though, I think that if you were to apply for something like ICU or ED, it would give you the most opportunity for moving to another department further down the road. Whereas if you were to start in med surge, it'd be harder to go into the ICU or any other position where you need to be specialized in, like OR or something like that. Um, and then when it comes to like Sacramento specifically, though, it's going to be hard as a new grad finding a job in this area because a lot of the employees that I've worked with who are techs, who have been like LVNs, who've become RNs and are looking for work, they're having a hard time finding work in the Sacramento area because it's such a high demand for jobs in this area that so many new grads, as soon as they graduate, they're looking for work out here and they're having a hard time finding work. But that would not dissuade me from trying to apply for work here. I would still apply if I were you, but I would apply for everywhere else as well. Like there's nurses, new grad nurses that have had to apply for jobs in Stockton, California. And then many of them have had to go to like smaller community hospitals before they came over to the Sacramento region in the higher paying hospitals. Right. So, but again, if I were you, I would just continue applying for the higher paying hospitals regardless, because who knows, you might get offered a position. And that's what happened with Monica. Monica had no experience in tele, and I applied for her for over like 100 different positions in the Kaiser system and in Sutter and in Dignity. I applied to all of those jobs, and she didn't get a call back for most of them. I think she got like 3 or 4 calls back. She went to like 3 or 4 interviews, and they offered her a job at Dignity close to like Chico. And she was like doing her orientation at the time when she had gotten a call from Kaiser asking her if she was still interested in the position she had previously applied for. And she said she was interested in it, and they gave it to her. So she left that day and told her manager, I hope he's not watching this or she's not watching this, but she told her manager that she had a family emergency, that she needed to leave, and she could not work there anymore. She was very sorry, but she couldn't work there anymore. And the manager was super understanding and said, totally understand. And that was the end of it. She never returned to Dignity Health up there in Chico. And she started working at Kaiser from that moment on. But that's because we applied for so many different positions. And again, you need to be willing to just apply for everything. Don't be worried that they're going to say no. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, who cares if they say no? Just keep applying, because they told me no the first time I applied for Kaiser. It took me 8 months before I got a job there. So, yeah, just keep applying. All right, let's see. What else we got? Okay. Can you compare the PA profession to the RN? Oh, okay. Yeah, we can do that. In regards to the salary and the rigor of a PA program versus advanced, what is that? Oh, let's see, accelerated BSN. Okay, so I can't compare the two in terms of education because I've never done either of the two, but I know people who have. And from my understanding, ABSN is more rigorous because it's intense. You need to complete that, in like 12 months, 16 months to 24 months max. So they cram a lot of material in that short amount of time when you're doing your ABSN. And ABSN is Accelerated Bachelor's of Science in Nursing, for those of you that don't know. Okay, but all right, so you want me to compare the two though, PA and let's see. All right, let me just make the screen bigger so I can compare for you guys. Okay. Present, share screen. Okay, hold on a second. So let me look up the spreadsheet again because I closed it. Okay, here it is. And there we go. I'm going to present and share my screen. Okay, here we go. So if you want to do PA and RN, you know what? That's the one thing I need to work on, and I might include it in the next spreadsheet. But at the moment, the only thing you can do is select PA, right? And then you're going to sort it, right? So it's going to show you that these are the locations that are going to pay the highest, and you're going to have the most amount of money left over. And let me just make sure this is being shared correctly. Yeah, it is. Okay. All right. And then you select RN. So remember these numbers, 71,000, right? Or 60,000 to 71,000. And then you do RN. Oh, and you know what? Actually, let's fix this because I'm only doing Georgia and New York. So I got to unselect those. So, all right, if you're an RN, then you're going to have 67,000 left over at most. And again, this doesn't include all of the quirks of living in California, like time and a half after 8 hours, double time, and so on and so forth. It's just $67,000, right? But then if you take a look at the PA is left over, has 106,000 left over in this town, this city of Texas, right? 106,000. That's almost twice as much. So, and then if you look at every single other location, you're going to be way better off as a PA in most cities in the United States as opposed to a RN. And but if you don't want to go that route, then you might as well just work in California, because as a California nurse, you're making more than, well, I should say Northern California nurse, you're making more than the PAs, and you're even making more than unfortunately, it's sad to say, but you're making more than the pediatricians, you're making more than the family medicine docs and the hospitalists, because you just got to pick up a few overtime shifts and you would be working the same number of hours as them, and you can make just as much as, if not more than them. All right. Okay, so let's see. It's your fault, Jason. There's no jobs in Sacramento. Yeah. Well, it actually was like that before Monica and I moved to California, which is why it took me 8 months to get work here. Because I know new grads that have been able to get work in my department. I actually wanted to interview this new grad who started working with our department maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and he said it's the first job he ever had. So they're starting to hire new grads in the ED, which is something they never used to do when I first started working in that emergency department. Okay, so let's see. Okay, cool. All right, let's see. Oh, Maryland and Philadelphia. Okay, so you want me to compare Maryland and Philadelphia? Let's do that. All right, so Maryland and Philadelphia. Here we go. And let's do it for RNs, right? So we have Maryland. Oh, no, this one right here. And Philadelphia, which is let's do PA, right? So, yeah, these are the places that are going to pay the most, and most of them, as you can see here, are in Pennsylvania, including Philadelphia, is better than even Baltimore, Maryland, but not by much. I mean, look at this. It's 41,623 if you're in Baltimore, Maryland. That's how much you have left over. But if you're in Philadelphia, it's 41,761. So the difference is not much. And if you look here, the median annual salary is very closely related, but the home prices are different. In Baltimore, Maryland, the home prices are cheaper. They're less expensive than they are in Philadelphia, right? Yeah, so that's really interesting. However, if you look at the crime rate, guys, my gosh, Baltimore, Maryland, 85.1 out of 100. The higher, the worse off it is. So this is close to 100. And Philadelphia, which is surprising, it's only 48.6. So Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is safer than Baltimore, Maryland. So that's something you should take into consideration. All right. All right. I hope that helps. Let's do that. Okay. Next, let's see. So you said, uh, I'd like to pursue the path of CRNAs someday. Requirement for one of the schools is to work at a metropolitan teaching hospital. What would be considered a metropolitan city in California? That is like one of the weirdest requirements I've ever heard of. But Sacramento is one of them. Metropolitan is like a city that has is that that has more than I wouldn't say more than one cities in a county. Yeah, I guess so. So like if you take let's say Sacramento for example, the metropolitan area of Sacramento would include like Roseville, Elk Grove, and the other surrounding cities. If you think about cities in like LA, the LA County region has many different cities within it, right? And I guess that's how you can look at it. But I don't know, just look at a city that has a higher population density than most cities. And I would go for a city that has more than like 500,000. The population is greater than 500,000, for example. But yeah, that is such a weird requirement and it makes no sense to me. I guess they just want you to have more exposure to different type of clients. Okay, let's see. Have you seen those teen riots? No thanks. Okay. No thanks to Baltimore. Okay. Do you plan on selling? Okay, let's answer this question. Do you plan on selling your home anytime soon? Would you all try and buy in New York when you relocate? So, we are going to sell our home sometime in the beginning of 2025. And we are not going to buy when we move to New York. At least in the short term, we're not going to do that. But the reason for that is because the money that we get from here is going to be a cushion that we're going to have to pay rent for at least 2 years, right? Because then we don't have to worry about a mortgage payment if we use all of the money that we have from the equity here to buy a house when we move to New York. And in addition to that, it's cheaper to rent in New York than it is to buy. which is why we rather rent at least for 2 years, because the plan is to make a larger amount of money from YouTube and all of the social media platforms that we have than we do as nurses. So it can replace our income, and then we can consider buying a house with the income that we earn from social media. That's the goal. Okay. All right. Next, let's see. Okay, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Indiana, please. Okay, so let's do that one real quick. Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Indiana. So let's do both of those states. New Mexico, which is right here, and Indiana. So let's see, Indiana. Okay. All right. So here you're going to see that already the best place to move to is going to be in Indiana. And actually, most of them are going to be in Indiana. So if you're considering moving there as a nurse, you might as well choose, if you're considering both of these, you might as well just choose Indiana, right? Because then you have more options for cities to move to. You are only going to have Farmington, New Mexico, Las Cruz, is that Las Cruz or Las Cruces, New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico, as the other two options, right? So yeah, I would just go with Indiana if those were my only two choices. But if you're doing it for other professions, let's see. Again, CRNA is going to be the best. PA, midwife, NP, PA. Yeah. Even look at that. So let's make this larger. So a medical dosimetrist. I forgot what that means, but okay. Those are going to pay higher than an RN. Even an RN instructor is going to make more than an RN in these cities. So Anderson, Indiana, if you're an RN this instructor, you're going to be making more money than an RN. So maybe consider being an RN instructor if you can, if you have experience. But there's also these things, right? Let me go over it. Make it a bit larger. There's diagnostic medical sonographer. There's occupational therapist, radiation therapist, physical therapist, and yeah, no. So there's other professions that you can work in and make more money than an RN in any of these cities. So yeah, I hope that helps. All right, next. Um, okay, somebody asked, why sell instead of renting your home in Sacramento? Okay, so the mortgage payment on our house is about $4,100 if you take into account our HOA, our property taxes, our homeowner's insurance, and yeah, and the mortgage itself, right? The loan that we have in the house. It's about $4,100. So if we were to rent this house out, the only way it would make sense is if we could rent it for like $5,000 a month minimum, because we also got to take into account like any maintenance costs that might be involved in like fixing up the house if something goes wrong. So minimum $5,000. Secondly, we have to think, if when we move to New York, if I don't have enough money coming in from YouTube and social media, then that means I might have to pick up a job just to cover the rent that we have when we move back to New York, right? And we won't have a cushion like we will if we were to sell this house. So, yeah, I looked at all of those things. And at the end of the day, it makes more sense for us to sell this house, have $300,000 in equity, and an additional $100,000 that we can use after we set aside our rent payment, an additional $100,000 that we could use to actually invest in another property if that's what we want to do, and rent that property out, or invest in our business. It just makes more sense to me. Okay, next. Okay, right. Oh, so somebody wants Raleigh, North Carolina. All right, let's go over North Carolina real quick. Okay, if you want to look at North Carolina, here it goes. So if you're an RN and you're looking to move to North Carolina, let's select RN, and I'm gonna unselect all the other states on the left, right? So I'm gonna unselect Indiana. I'm gonna select, yeah, North Carolina. Here we go. Scroll up. These are the best cities to move to if you're looking to live in North Carolina as an RN. And let's erase this for a second and see if there's other professions that are better off. Again, CRNAs top of the list. Then we have PAs, midwives, PAs. Look how much money you're going to have left over. So if you guys are ever on the um, on the fence about becoming a CRNA, just look at these as an example. In every single city in the US, CRNAs are going to do way better than any other profession, including a lot of the doctors or the physicians, the physician professions that I've looked at in the salary data. So you could be making 260, $280,000 a year in many cities in the United States as a CRNA. And after your mortgage is paid, your taxes are deducted from your paycheck, you will still be left with over 130, $150,000 a year if you're a CRNA. And you don't have to be confined to just Northern California, which is, where we're pretty much stuck until we can afford to move back to another place where we would prefer to live. Right. All right. So, and that's why, I do tell people who just want to be RNs, don't want to go into another career, that if you want to make the most money, then yeah, just move to Northern California, invest your money, pay off your debts, and then you can live off of early retirement investments that you've managed to like build up. Okay. Because in the amount of time that Monica and I have moved from New York to Northern California, our net worth went from like negative 80,000, because we had like $80,000 worth of student loans, to now it's close to 700,000. And I should also be completely transparent with you guys. This past the last 3 months or so, I took out about $30,000 from one of our taxable brokerage accounts. And I kind of use that taxable brokerage account as an emergency fund, or as an investment fund for other purposes. And what I mean by that is I took out that $30,000 so that Monica and I could experiment with our business. So we got a mentor, and that cost us $6,800. We invested in a lot of equipment. We bought a new camera that cost $4,000. We also purchased another lens, which is enormous. This is it right here. Right? So I don't know if you can, it's not focusing. Anyways, this lens right here, we bought another lens. That one's not for YouTube videos, it's mostly for photography, but it's the 105 millimeter f1.4 Sigma lens, if you guys are interested in that. And then we also purchased, like, we invested on outsourcing a lot of the stuff we do. So now, I have a video editor that edits all of our podcasts, resurfaces our podcast videos, and I pay her about $1,400 per month. And then we also have a virtual assistant that I pay about $400 a month to find nurses for me to interview, and sets up the appointments for me. Right. So the money that we took out from our taxable brokerage account is going towards those investments. And we still have some left over, but we also paused our 401k temporarily because we just wanted to invest all of our time and money into this business and growing it. And I also forgot to mention, I paid a programmer, a Python programmer, to create the spreadsheets, or the program that aggregates all of that data for me in a faster way. And I've paid him thousands of dollars to do that. But in addition to that, it's a lot, guys. But I'm also paying a tutor to teach me how to write code with Python, or how to use Python, the programming language, so that I can build these programs myself, as well as other programs to make my life easier. And I've always loved coding, and I never got into computer science, but it's something I've always wanted to do. And Python is just something that I'm gravitated towards, because it's a program that allows you to analyze data. And that's what I do with the Excel spreadsheets, but it allows you to create automation, or automate your programs, or automate your life. And that's what I want to do with Python. Anyways, let's move on. Okay. So let's see. What is your favorite? Let's go with this one. What is What are your favorite things about living in Sacramento? What other city would you compare it to? Ooh, that's a tough one. Okay. So my favorite things about living in Sacramento is the fact that we are able to afford a house here that we would never be able to afford in New York for the price that we paid. We paid $697,000 for our house, and the monthly mortgage is about $4,100 a month. And we live in a really nice neighborhood. We're close to, like, we have a large park literally like right behind our house, and then we have an even larger park that's 3 minutes away from us. And it's a neighborhood where a lot of families and professionals live. So like a lot of the doctors that I work with live in the same street that Monica and I live in. Also, it's very walkable. So Sacramento specifically, like we can walk to many places in Sacramento and not have to drive. However, we still do drive to a lot of the places we go to, unless we're staying in the neighborhood. And then I do like the fact that the highways are so close; they run right through Sacramento. So when we want to go to the Bay Area, the the I-80 is literally like a minute away from us, and we can get to the Bay Area in an hour and 19 minutes, depending on how which part of the Bay Area. So, like Oakland, for example, we can get there in an hour and 19 minutes, and Napa is an hour and 30 minutes to 2 hours away. Lake Tahoe is an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours away. So, if we want to go snowboarding in the winter, we just drive an hour and 45 minutes away, and we're there. What I also like is the weather, besides the summers, is pretty great. Like right now, I think it's like 60 degrees outside. But in New York, it's like, I don't know, 20, 30 degrees, 40 degrees. It's pretty cold. And for, I would say, like 3 to 4 months of the year, it averages out like 60 degrees here. Then another 2 months, it averages out like 70 degrees. Another 2 months, it averages about 80 degrees or so. But then the other months, it's like 95 degrees plus out here, 90 degrees. And it's really hot, which is something that we don't enjoy, which is why in the summer times we try to leave Sacramento as often as possible because it can get really hot out here in Sacramento. Okay. But one city that I can compare it to is, let's see, we've been to a lot of cities, but this one is very different than most cities we've been to. It's like the smaller cities and the smaller towns in New York State or in Pennsylvania. So, like, if you've ever been to Princeton, for example, it's small. It's small like that, right? Let's see, other towns. Man, there's not that many that I can see that are comparable to this, but like the smaller cities in New York. Oh, like for example, Westchester or yeah, Westchester in New York. That's another place that I can compare it to. Um, there's not that many skyscrapers out here. Actually, there aren't any at all. There's probably maybe 15 buildings that have more than 15 floors or 20 floors, and in New York you'd lose count with the number of skyscrapers that you see. In San Francisco, though, there are a handful of skyscrapers. They're not as tall as the ones in New York, but there's a handful of them. And yeah, no, I don't know, it's not it's not the worst city in the world, but it's also not the best city. Okay, all right, let's compare. Let's see. Oh, I've had a rental house long distance and almost bankrupt me. Never again. Yeah, that's part of the reason why we also are not considering keeping this house, which is so expensive, and renting it out. I'd rather buy a cheaper home or at least a multi complex property and rent that out instead. Because if one tenant leaves and the space becomes vacant, at least we're still making money from the other tenants. Okay. All right. Okay, so somebody asked, Fleece Johnson asked, how about still pick up a job in New York and then so you play it safer, tighten it if you have money coming from YouTube, or then if you have money coming from YouTube, you can save that money or add extra resources of income and vice versa. Yeah, I've considered it, but I mean, would you still, if you had, let's say, $15,000 coming in per month, And that's, I'm talking net, right? I'm not talking gross. If you had $15,000 coming in every single month after taxes, would you still pick up a nursing job? I don't know. I don't think I would. I would just reinvest my money. I would invest it in properties. I would invest it in the stock market. I would invest it in index funds. And then I would also reinvest it in the business to grow it even more. So, yeah, I don't know. It depends how much money we're earning at that time. So, yeah, we'll see. If I'm making anywhere above $10,000 per month, then I might not pick up a nursing job. We'll see. I don't know because we're getting there. This year we're already at $3,000 per month average. Last year it was only $1,100 per month, and the year before that was like $96. So it's climbing pretty fast now, and I hope it can continue. But yeah, okay, all right. Let's see. So somebody asked, okay, Tampa Bay and Orlando. Let's do Florida then. Okay. So if you want to compare Florida, let's do RNs first, and let's just go and select Florida on the left. And this is how much you're going to be earning if you are in Florida. And that's the most, right? It's $38,000. But look at this. 38,000, that's twice less than half of what you would be making if you were here in Vallejo, California, or Fairfield. Even even in Sacramento, we're making 55,000, whereas in Florida, you're only making 38,000. So, yeah, I don't know if it would even make sense for you to live there. However, let's take a look at the other ones. Again, CRNA, right? And you know what? Let's look this up real quick because I added this just because I saw medical in the name. So this is actually it says a medical dosimetrist has an overall knowledge of math, physics, anatomy and physiology, radiobiology, and knows the characteristics and clinical relevance of it. Um, they also calculate doses of radiation and design and oversee the treatment plans for patients with cancer and other serious diseases. So that's what they do. Okay, and let me see. Then we have PAs, NPs, and physical therapists. So even a physical therapist is going to be doing better because look at this. You have $53,000 left over in Florida versus the RN who has like $32,000 left over, right? This RN right here has $38,000 left over. So yeah, all right, that's a choice you're gonna have to make if you want to be an RN in Florida. All right, next, let's see. All right, so Stephanie, hey, I love your channel. I'm kind of a groupie. Thank you so much. It's really hard for me to do these live streams when I'm trying to show you guys my screen because I'm usually more comfortable just talking to the camera than I am trying to like tinker with my computer while I'm talking to the camera. It's very difficult to do that. And I wish I had somebody to help me do that, but right now I don't. Eventually, I will hire somebody to just click on the screens for me so they can share the screen for me. Okay. Somebody wants to know what the pay looks like in Portland, Oregon. So let's look at Oregon as a whole, right? If you're in Oregon, what is your pay going to look like? First of all, let's do RNs only. Let's unselect Florida and let's just go to Oregon. Okay, look, it's the funny thing is that it's actually very similar to what you're going to be making in Florida. And that's pretty sad because I would have expected Oregon to be a lot better than that, right? So here, and again, these are the only cities that are reported to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, okay, for this specific state and this specific profession. But let's say you just want to look at all of them. Again, CRNA, like always, is at the top, but it's not that great compared to the other states where some states or some cities, you're left with like 130,000 after taxes and your mortgage payments. Anyways, let's say PA, if you're a PA though, you're making it's not even, I wouldn't even say it's a decent living, honestly, because 52,000 for a PA in Oregon, where you can have an RN in California who's making 67,000 after taxes and their mortgage payments, right? But let's say, let's go back. If you are a midwife, occupational therapist, see, it just goes down from there. So, if it were me, I would not be moving to Oregon. And look at this. If you're in any of these cities, good luck. Look at, you know what? Let's actually look at Portland. Let's look at Portland for our end only. Okay. So you're going to have $31,000 left over. It's actually the second worst city for you to move to in Oregon if you want to have more money in your pocket at the end of the month because the cost of living there is so high, right? And that's not to say that you can't live in another city and work in Portland, Oregon. You can. I mean, I would totally do that. But the spreadsheet is meant for people who want to live in the city that they're working in so they won't have a long commute. Okay. All right. All right. Who else? Who else is here? Let's see. Sorry, I joined. Did you say you are already? Okay. Somebody asked, sorry, I joined late. Did you say you are already making 3,000 in YouTube? Yeah, surprisingly, right? That's actually much higher than I was expecting at this point in time. But the average for this year was about $3,000 per month. And that's because we got like $10,000 in sponsorship income. And sponsorships are some of the best ways to make money if you're doing social media content creation. A lot of people that I know personally are making tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars per month just through sponsorships because the ads that play on YouTube, they pay, like you make money off of that, but not much. Like this month, we're only probably going to make around $1,500 to $1,600 from the ads that play on these YouTube videos, whereas we could easily make like $5,000 from a sponsored video, just one sponsored video. Okay. All right, let's see what else. Okay, if I had a Kaiser location preference between Sacramento, South Sacramento, Roseville, Folsom, and Clovis, which one would I choose? So if you work in the Kaiser at Folsom, it's like a clinic. So unless you're going to be doing like outpatient work, then Folsom is, you got to take that one off your list. Clovis as well. Sacramento, South Sacramento, and Roseville, it's going to be highly dependent on which specialty you specialize in. So if you're working in the ER, then it's going to be, in my opinion, it would be uh, Sacramento, which is on Morse Avenue, and then South Sacramento, followed by Roseville. And the reason for that in that order is because the one in Sacramento is where I work and it's more laid back. It's management is very chill, very cool, which is what I've heard the opposite of in South Sacramento. Now, if you're working in another department, though, Monica, she works the tele floor in South Sacramento. And I've spoken with the nurses in Sacramento about the tele floor, as well as nurses in Roseville. The one in Roseville, again, is not the best one to work in. There's too many clicks in Roseville, and management is very strict the way that they do things over there. Depending on the unit that you work in, if you're working an inpatient unit in Roseville, you might not get any overtime. They're trying very hard to restrict the amount of overtime that you get. If you're in Moores, the nurses in the tele floors and med surg floors are not as happy in Moores as they are in South Sac. But if you're doing outpatient stuff like, let's say, PACU or OR, PACU is not exactly outpatient, but it can be. And if you're doing anything like advice line or anything like that, then it really doesn't matter where you work. Everybody seems to be happy regardless of the Kaiser they work in when they're working in those type of units. Okay. All right. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Somebody asked, can you add a veterinarian to the spreadsheet? And yes, I have it already. I just need to include it in the final spreadsheet. So I can go over a list of the professions for you guys. So quickly, let me just share this screen with you so I can show you exactly which ones I have. There's a lot of them. Okay. So share screen, and I'm just going to share the window. And let's see. I'm just going to share my entire screen. Let's see. No, let's do this. I'm going to open up Finder, and let's see. Here we go. Okay. Okay. Here. Perfect. All right. All right. I'm going to share my screen so I can show you which professions I currently have. So, window here. Okay. And I hope you can see that. All right. Yes. Yes, you can. All right. Finder. So, where is it? New folder. So these are the ones that I currently have there, which is a lot of them. Like, let's see, I'm going to select all of them. There's 43 at the moment, and I'm going to add more than that. And veterinarian is on this list, right? So it's right here. And I'm just going to click on it and see if I can share that with you guys so I can show you what it looks like at the moment. So um, here, veterinarians. Okay. So the mean salary, right, is right over here. And let me see if I can show you what the net salary is. Uh, Format. Let's see. Edit. Okay. I just need to sort this for you guys so I can show you what it looks like. Sort entire table, selected rows. Okay. Sort now. All of them. For some reason I can't sort. Okay, let's see. Oh, here we go. Okay. Descending. All right. All right. So if you are in like Madison, Wisconsin, you're going to have the most amount of money. Or even like surprisingly, Honolulu, which is crazy, but that's not taking into account the home prices. So that's why all this data is what it's collected from all those links that I showed you at the beginning of the video, right? Including the zip codes, the mean salary, the net salary, the home prices, the rental prices, mortgage, filing data, and property crime data. So I then have to grab all this information and put it in that other spreadsheet that has the dashboard for you guys. So just give me like 2 weeks and I will have that available for you so that you don't have to worry about doing it yourself. All right. Let's see. All right, guys. So I am going to answer just a few more questions and then I'm going to have to end it there. But let's see. Hopefully this one right here. So what you're saying is this is from Eliza. Hopefully, is it Eliza or Alyssa? Let me know in the comments. So what you're saying is that I need to leave my family and move from Florida to Cali. Well, if I remember correctly, you did say that you are going to FNP school. If hopefully I think I got that right. But if you're going to remain as a nurse, then you don't want to be a nurse in Florida, okay? I'm just going to let you know right now because regardless of how many degrees you have, you're still going to be making a lot less than most other nurses in every other state and city. Okay, but let me see if I can just look at that one more time because um, I personally, I hear so many negative things about being a nurse in Florida that I don't even know why anybody would want to work there other than the weather. If that's the only thing keeping you there, there's other parts in California that have good weather. But I mean, I know there's politics plays a big role in a lot of people's decision making. And I've already talked about this before, but I'm so laser focused on my life that I don't care what the politics are around me anymore. Because I used to be so obsessed with politics. I mean, I would be glued to the television, and I just realized it's just like the same things playing over and over and over again. And it seems like the media is just trying to brainwash you into having these biased beliefs. Which is why I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I hate both sides equally. Okay, so don't ever get at me that I'm like super political. I'm not. I'm like someone that if something makes sense, then I'm going to talk about it making sense. Like, for example, if there's shootings in the United States, it has to do with the fact that we have a lot of guns in the United States, point blank. There's no other country in the Western hemisphere, in the Western world, like in Europe, where there are mass shootings. Look at India, where the population is in the billions and they don't have mass shootings like we do. And it's because we do have a lot of guns. And you can talk about your Second Amendment, this, Second Amendment, that. And I'm not against people having guns, but the fact is that the reason why there's so many shootings is because they're guns. There are guns in the US. And guns get in the hands of criminals, right? They get in the hands of people that are abiding by the law. But at the end of the day, the fact that guns continue to come into this country, the criminals are going to get their hands into them. And it goes the same thing with drugs, right? Like drugs will continue coming into the country and people will continue to abuse them regardless of whether they're legal or not. And the fact that they're making the drugs are making their way into the country, people who want to abuse them will do so. Same thing with the guns. Because we keep getting guns into the country and they're being produced in the country, then people who have uh, bad intent will get access to guns and they will use these guns. And the thing about the news and the media is that they highlight these people that commit these crimes. So then you have people that want to be copycats and want to do the same thing. Same thing with these mass shootings with children in schools that are dying, and they're dying in like huge numbers. And it's like heartbreaking. If you guys have kids, I can't. I don't know if you can imagine what it would feel like to lose your child who's in school, a place that you would think is safe, and you find out from the police department or the news that your child died in their classroom as a result of gun violence. I cannot, I don't understand why that continues to happen here in the US. And I know why it continues to happen is because nothing's being done about it other than thoughts and prayers. Okay, but that's another topic. Anyways, I'm rambling. All right, let's go back to this. Okay, so let's see if I can look at. Okay, can you get overtime in informatics? Oh, so that's a question. Can you get overtime in informatics or working in administration? If you're working in the Kaiser system, getting overtime in administration is going to be nearly impossible because I don't know any. However, there are some ways around it. Like if you're a per diem administrator, like a per diem manager, you can pick up extra shifts, or you can pick up like education hours here or there. That's what some of the managers that I work with do, but they don't get overtime though. It's just like straight pay. Also, if you work in informatics, I interviewed Ivan before, and he was an informatics nurse. Now he's working, and he was working in Roseville at the time. Now he's working at Kaiser in Sacramento. Sorry, he was working in Fresno as an informatics nurse. Now he's living in Roseville and I asked him what role he's working in. I believe he's doing like inpatient or something like that. So he's not doing informatics anymore. So but I remember he said he was able to pick up extra shifts. I don't know if it was a lot of overtime, but the fact that he left that in order to make more money here in Roseville in the Sacramento region, and in the Kaiser hospital out here just goes to show that he wasn't getting paid enough as an informatics nurse. Okay. All right. Next, let's see. Uh, does a Kaiser advice nurse make the same as a nurse in a hospital? Yes. That's what's crazy about being an advice nurse in the Kaiser system is that they're all part of the same union that we are in the inpatient side. So these nurses are going to get paid exactly the same rates that the nurses who are working in the ED, the ICU, the PACU, med-surg, tele floors are getting paid. So, and the cool thing is that as an advice nurse, you'll be working from home because they're still working from home post pandemic. And I know an advice nurse that's been working over 40, 50 days at this point. And he said that there's so much opportunity for overtime in the advice line. But that changes frequently, okay, guys? So even if there's overtime now, there might not be overtime in a couple of weeks or a couple of months because that's what's happening now in a lot of the inpatient units and a lot of the ERs and ICUs that they're not offering as much overtime as they used to because they realize they need to get a handle on their budget. They've overexceeded their budget by a long shot. So now they're trying to get a handle of it. Okay. All right. Let's see. What else we got? Damn, there's so many questions. Okay. I wish I had Monica here right now, but she's sleeping because she has to go to work. So let me see. Um, okay, do you think it's better for me to do a new grad program at Kaiser or just gain 6 months of experience before applying to Kaiser as an RN? If it were me, I would apply anyway. I wouldn't care if I have experience or not. You never know. You might get a job offer and they won't even realize that you don't have that much experience because that's what happened with Monica. They offered her a job and they didn't know she had no tele experience. And they offered her a job as a tele nurse. So once she accepted the offer and she got hired, she signed all the paperwork and she started her first day. That's when they realized she'd never worked as a tele nurse before. So they had to give her a telemetry class so she can learn how to read cardiac rhythms. Okay. All right. Have you, let's see. Can you do Milwaukee, Wisconsin versus Northern California? So I can't do specific parts of California, but I can show you uh, all of California and the other states. So let's see, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm going to share my screen again. I hope you can see that. Okay, Milwaukee. Let's see. Uh, so we're going to do Wisconsin. Let's do California. Uh, let's see, Wisconsin. Okay. And let's see something. Hold on a second. Okay. Let's just go up here. All right. And I'm going to just show you again. California is like the top, what, 10 or so. Then you have Wisconsin, though, which is not too bad. But this is Bloomington, Wisconsin. And if you keep scrolling down, that's where you'll see Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is that you're going to be left with $44,000 after you pay your mortgage payments and everything. But if you look here, the home prices are pretty low, like they're relatively low. Your monthly mortgage payment is going to be somewhere around $1,100. And that's the median, right? So this is what, if you go, if you look at the most expensive homes and the least expensive homes, this one's going to be in the middle. Right. And then the crime rate, though, look at that in Milwaukee compared to other parts that you could choose to move to in California. So obviously, don't choose Oakland, which is down here with 86.5 out of 100. But you can choose one of these, like Fresno. I wouldn't recommend Fresno. Um, you can choose Yuba City. No, I wouldn't recommend that either. Redding. So Redding, California is farther north. It's like really, really north. And yeah, that's one you can consider, and Fairfield. But again, at the end of the day, the reason I choose Sacramento is because it's a bigger city than these right here. Yeah, than all of these actually, and Fairfield as well. There's more to do in Sacramento than these cities right here. So yeah, if it were me, I would. This is why I chose Sacramento, and why I recommend other people choose Sacramento as well. Right, right. Okay. That's why I'm I'm still broke. We moving to Northern California because of your advice and your stories. Yep. Yeah, I figured. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Do you know how much experience is needed for an advice nurse position? So, if you look it up right now, you'll be able to see. But let's see, Kaiser advice. I'm gonna just search for it so I can show you guys in the screen as well. Let's see. Okay, hold on. I'm going to share it with you guys so you can see it. Oh, here it is. Okay. Share, present, stops. Okay. Share screen and new tab. Okay, let me show you. Kaiser advice nurse jobs. Okay, so we're going to find one of them, and let's see if we can find this one here. And actually, let me just click on it because otherwise it's not going to show it in your screen. There's nothing there. Okay, that's great. If I log into my account, you would actually be able to see it. So let's see if I can just log in so I can show you. Employee job search. Okay, telehealth. I think that's what it's called. So Sacramento. And let's search. Nope. Maybe advice. Nope. Here. Advice. Search. Okay, teleservice representative. I believe that's the one. Let me just keep going and see if I can find any other. Yeah, let's do teleservice representative. Um, let's see. This posting represents 25 positions. And let me just make sure this is what it is. Handles inquiries, complaints. No, it's probably not. No, it really isn't. So, as you can see, there's not that many positions available right now. But if I come across any one of them, I'll let you know. But from what I've heard, you need at least from I think it's 2 years of experience, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I'll let you know though. I'll put it in the comments section and I'll reply to you once I find out what the real answer is. Okay. Vacaville, Kaiser is also a beautiful place. Actually, yeah, I have a lot of coworkers who have worked there and they loved it over there. And it's not that bad of a place to live in, and it's closer to the Bay Area. So yeah, you should consider that one too. All right. Let's see what else. I am so happy to catch the live stream. The price for the spreadsheet is very affordable. I'm thinking of moving to California. Thanks for all your research and work at Nurses to Riches. You're welcome. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And all right, guys, one last question, and then I'm going to have to go because I have so many things to do. I'm still trying to learn Python, right? Like, I want to make videos in the future to show you guys what I've managed to create after learning how to use Python. Because there's this doctor that I work with who's really good at programming, and he created the system that we use to assign doctors to our patients automatically based on their acuity level, based on the time that the doctor comes in, and based on how many patients that doctor has already been assigned. And this doctor is getting paid a good of like a really really good amount of money from Kaiser for having created this program. Yeah, so I want to ultimately get to a point where I know how to code well enough where I can create programs that would benefit not just me, but you guys and maybe larger organizations as well. Okay. And for those of you that are wondering what's going on with this real estate license that I was interested in pursuing, I stopped pursuing it because Monica and we've been like all over the place lately. We wanted to go into, I don't know if you've been watching this channel for a while now, but if you have, we wanted to go into building a clothing company or a clothing business for children. And during that time is when I also purchased the real estate course so that I can become a real estate agent. And we had so much going on with that children's clothing brand that I just gave up that real estate thing altogether because at the end of the day, I got to think about which one would allow me to affect the most amount of people and have the highest return on my investment for the time that I put in. And I thought, okay, real estate, I wanted to do that so I can make more videos about what it's like to live here in California. So I wanted access to a lot of the homes that we're interested in looking at in the different neighborhoods. But then I thought, would that really be worth it in the long term? And if we're going to move to New York, I don't think it would be worth it that much. But when we were pursuing this clothing brand thing, I thought we could reach a wider audience. But then when our mentor told us not to pursue that and to instead work on our YouTube channel and growing the income we're generating from YouTube because we already have an audience, we had to give up the clothing brand thing as well. So it's just, we've been all over the place. And I had a conversation with Elaine, who was the nurse who went from being broke to ringing the bell at Wall Street. And I remember she was saying something that she has shiny object syndrome. And that's very similar to me. I have shiny object syndrome, but the one thing that I've stuck with for so long is this YouTube channel and everything around it. And so far, it's the thing that still brings me a lot of joy and passion, which is why I continue to do it and why I'd rather just focus all of my time, all of my energy into this. Right. So that's why I do these live streams now on a weekly basis, because I feel like, okay, this is the easiest way for me to engage with you guys without having to spend 20 or 30 hours editing a video, planning it, producing it, trying to market it, all this other stuff that used to take me so long to do when I was doing it all on my own. All right. But yeah, that's just another story for another day. Okay. What else we got? Okay. Hi, with your help, I'm also considering moving to Cali from New York City. So let me show you guys this. Can you compare the difference with working in a private sector hospital and a county or city hospital, please? Okay, so if you're working at a county hospital, it's going to be a bit lower. You're going to be making a bit less than you would if you were working for like the private sector hospitals. And however, I will say this, if you're working for like a state hospital, like the VA, you're going to be making a lot more money in a hospital like that because there's one nurse that has said this before, but the VA nurses are making, I think it's like hundreds of dollars, 100 plus per hour in some cases. So if you're working for the VA, you could be making a lot of money and working like relatively few hours to just make $200,000 a year. But if you're in terms of like the the culture, then the city hospitals would be a bit more, I would say, laid back and probably a little bit more disorganized than the private hospitals because at the end of the day the private hospitals, they treat it like a real business, so they need to make money and they need to make sure that their clients, which is the patient, is pleased. And at the end of the day, they care about the revenue that's coming in. So they care about their image a lot more than a city hospital would. And I think this goes the same for like any state or city you live in, really. But if you move from Cali to New York City, I would say, or from New York City to Cali, I would say come to California before you make that choice so that you guys can explore the different cities in California and then decide which city you really want to move to. So look at the spreadsheet and find out, just narrow it down to like the top 10 places that you would be interested in working in. And then come and visit those locations on like a 1 week or 2 week trip. You can do this in about 2 weeks, I would say. But at the very minimum, take 1 week before you make that move, and I would apply for my license while I'm here in California if I were you, right? So come here on a vacation, do your fingerprinting out here in California because your application for your endorsement would happen a lot faster if you do it that way, right? So you got to go to a live scan location out here in California, and they're all over the place in California. So get the fingerprinting done at a live scan location, and that will speed up the process in which you get your application approved for your nursing license out here. And then go ahead and visit all of the locations that you have on your list and find out which places make the most sense for you to live in and which hospitals are located near the places you want to move to. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. What cities in Northern California, so what cities are in Northern California, and what are the salaries for Providence, MLK, and Adventist hospitals in California? So I have the salaries for Providence Hospital, but I don't have the other two. The only way I will have, like salary data for a specific hospital is if someone sends me the contract, the union contract for that specific hospital. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to find it. And when I do my Google searches, sometimes I can find the contracts through there. But then there's also hospitals that are private hospitals that don't have unions, so they don't have transparency with their salaries. And one nurse in a specific department could be making, let's say, $80 an hour, and that another nurse with the same number of years of experience might be making $70 per hour. So that's why I rather go and give you the data from a union hospital because they have their salaries, their wages set in stone. It's in their contract. So you can see exactly how much you're going to make per year, per hour, based on the number of years of experience that you have. Right? You can't do that with a private institution. Also, the cities that are in Northern California, I'll show you in the spreadsheet, are, let's see, there's so many of them though. And, everybody defines Northern California as something different. I will define Northern California as the hospitals that are located north of LA. Okay, that's how I'm defining Northern California. Right, so if we're just looking at California, let me unselect Wisconsin. then these, all of these, everything that's going to pay the highest right here, they're all located in northern, right here. Uh, yeah, these are all located in Northern California, right here. Okay. So if you look at the top paying ones, if you sort it by median salary, it's going to be obvious. Let's do median salary. It's going to be obvious based on the pay, which ones are in Northern California, because these are going to be the ones that are going to pay the highest amount of money, right? And then as you go down, you're going to notice that the salaries are going to also start to decrease. However, if you look at Long Beach and LA and Anaheim, those are still, they're going to pay 128,000, but the cost of living is so high over there that you're going to be left with a low amount of money, like $17,000 per year in Los Angeles, right? So yeah, why would you want to do that? But yeah, look at some of these places though. Like let's say you're making $175,000 here, even though you're making that much money. Look at the home price, 100 and I mean $1.2 million. That's ridiculous. Like that's why you need to pay attention to where you're moving to. It's not just about how much money you're making. It's also about, and more importantly, about how much money you're keeping. Right. Okay. Last one, and that's it. Sorry, guys. That's it. This is the last one. So, yes, I will. Someone else that moved to Cali told me to do this exact same thing. Okay. Yes. Come to California, visit California, and then get your live scan done here, the fingerprinting, so you can get your license endorsed to California much faster than you would if you were to do it back home. And while you're here, visit the top 10 cities that are on the spreadsheet or on your mind of places that you want to live and work in when you moved here to California. All right, guys. So I'm sorry, but that's it. I will see you guys next week. I might actually make a video next week. I don't know because Monica and I were going to Canada. We're gonna go snowboarding. So I might make a video. I might not. It depends how busy we are. And the quality is probably not gonna be as good as it is right now. But I'll see you guys next week, hopefully. All right.